Welcome to episode number 26 of the Debuffed Dad Presents, the Whiskey Podcast.
Yeah. We've it's been a month since we last did one of these, and we've had quite a bit happen since then.
Yeah.
Both in life and what we're trying to accomplish here, and life, and more life.
And life,
we're drinking.
And life, and
so...
Yeah, June has historically been a very interesting month for me and the family, because we have the beginning of June is birthday, the middle of June is an anniversary, then Tuesday, wife's birthday.
Oh, also tomorrow is the 4th of July.
And tomorrow's the 4th of July.
Tuesday is your wife's birthday. Thursday is my anniversary. Saturday is my youngest birthday.
Third birthday. That, and it's a fiscal quarter end, so it's been an absolute nightmare, which is why we haven't been on in nearly a month. I think we're 3 weeks since our last episode.
It's been about 4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
So, because the first weekend we were supposed to come back at every other week, and we were going to record, and you ended up going to visit Grumpy.
Yes.
And then the weekend after that was GCX.
Yes.
And then last weekend we just couldn't make anything timing-wise.
Last weekend was Father's Day.
Right. So, speaking of Father's Day, as some of you may recall who have watched our earlier episodes, we have the Shieldaig out. That is the Father's Day gift / celebratory. My little one has met a milestone, so she now has almost a full card. As of earlier in June, she has gotten her first tooth.
Yes.
So, I mean, not that it really stopped her, it just meant that she was pissed and she needed to enjoy this, so the last thing is somehow figuring out for her to spend a night away from us so that we can have some peace and quiet. I mean, so she can develop independence.
Yes.
And we'll go from there, but until then, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Clink.
And congratulations on that tooth.
Thank you. Now, if the others will just follow, it'll be great.
This was always the fun time that I remember with both our children. The getting of the teeth was, because they have no way of communicating it other than to just scream wildly, which, unlike every other
excessively,
right, which unlike every other method of when they need something, like their diaper's dirty or they're tired or they're hungry, they scream wildly. So you get that cry, and your first instinct is to run through the dad checklist. Okay, is the diaper clean? Are they tired? When was the last time they took a nap? When was the last time we fed them? Are they thirsty? And you've gone through this checklist 3 times, and it's still not working. And then you go, oh, there's a little bit of... now I know what's going on. And in the case of yours...
She's very direct.
Very
direct.
So
she started by taking your hand and shoving it in her mouth, and then chewing on it. You're like, oh, there's something there.
Right.
It determines that she has her preference for what kind of numbing agent is used. Oragel, not so much.
Oh, okay.
Jack, not so much. She's a fan of the Cali, like we had last time.
Good.
So she has good taste, at least. Yeah.
And no, we don't get our daughters drunk, but if you take a pinky,
yeah,
dip it in some whiskey or scotch or whatever, and rub it on their gums, it does tend to make them feel a lot better.
Yeah. Well, speaking of feeling a lot better, and the excitement that is kids growing up, I have some bad news to share, I'm afraid. Zesty, our yellow tang, passed away.
He met a pretty gruesome demise, didn't he?
No, not standard fish tank stuff. Got, died and eventually got sucked into the, return vent and, scraped clean.
Right.
However, I was informed of this by your 4-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
who was told, go find Uncle Wookie and tell him what happened. Mind you, when that direction was given, no one realized that I was in the bathroom. So...
And this is one of those en-suites that doesn't have a door.
Yeah.
It's just separated by, it's around the corner, so, yeah, you're not doing your business in front of anyone sleeping, but, yeah, there's no door.
So, sitting there, doing my business, minding my own business, suddenly the door bursts open, and a sobbing 4-year-old walks in. Uncle Wookie! Zesty's dead! Nemo is all alone! Nemo is our clownfish, and the last remaining fish alive in the tank, as you might imagine. So, while on the can, I had to spend a good 10 minutes explaining to the 4-year-old life and death, and eventually agree that we would have to go immediately to get Zesty new friends, just so I can get her out of the bathroom and I could finish my business.
Now, she has a firm understanding of life and death. We've lost plenty of fish in our fish tank, and she's seen them floating and she's seen them flush. She conned you.
No. She wanted to go to the pet store to get more fish. And I was on the crapper. Locks don't work. She can bypass them. And this is the fun part about having kids. There is no sanctity. There is no alone time.
Now,
yeah.
The funny thing that happened today, post Zesty's demise, the older cousins, at one point in time, had drawn pictures of all the fish and their names, and they're posted on the back wall behind the aquarium. And today when I came in, Brooke, my oldest, walks up to me and says, Daddy, I had to take the picture of Zesty down because Zesty's dead.
There's several pictures still up there that she's convinced they're just hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that for the time being because I can't afford another trip to the fish store. So, yeah, you go, girl. That fish is totally hiding. Totally.
But yeah, like, I love the fact that even at 4 years old, we already have established kind of some ground rules of life, and she's taken to them very logically.
Well, you've established ground rules to life, but not ground rules to, boundaries and personal privacy. As this all happened again while I was on the can.
Well, you need to get a bathroom with doors.
You gonna invest in a new place for me?
No, that's not my job.
No. Well, while you're teaching your kid about the meaning of life, teach her the meaning of privacy. I appreciate that.
I do. It's called I lock the door when I go in my bathroom. Unfortunately, you don't have that luxury.
I lock the door to the bedroom.
It's not working well, apparently.
Apparently not.
But yeah, if you give her the opportunity to, she will definitely encroach on your space.
Uh-huh. And moms out there, I understand, will appreciate the fact that, your kids will sit there and watch you use the restroom all the time.
They're worse than cats.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had that most recent event. Yeah, Father's Day was kind of, I don't know, we didn't really do anything.
We tried to hide. We tried to calm down. It didn't work so well. It was just everything has been happening all at once lately.
Yeah. So, yeah, Father's Day this year, I don't know, I would say it was a little bit of a bust. And I wasn't really all that sad about it, but it's just, I actually was surprised I didn't get grief from my own father because I actually didn't call any like any of my family members and wish them happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was just I was burnt out and dealing with the convention stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like Guardian Con, formerly Destiny Con, now GCX.
Gaming Convention Expo.
Gaming Community Expo.
Community Expo, excuse me.
They've rebranded a few times to try to, I guess,
make it more all-encompassing.
Yeah, separate themselves from the Destiny brand, which is where it had originated from. Because of the pandemic of 2020, the on-site convention that they usually have every year, basically got upended and canceled, and they, instead of trying to wait to the last minute and force the issue and make investments that possibly could have gone belly up, they decided that they were going to do the convention this year completely virtually. And they invested a lot of money, time, and resources with another. They outsourced to a company that does virtual to the sense of they almost gamify it. They basically build the entire engine or the entire convention space in Unreal 4 engine, and it's got voice proximity chat. It's got character customizations. It allows for a multitude of people to come in and explore the space. And it was a great idea. Everything looked great on paper. And through my work with Guardians Mental Health, we actually got a booth there this year. And the Monday before the convention went live, they did a tech demo just to kind of stress test things and make sure all the features were working. We logged in. Everything was great. We were, exploring the private rooms, the prox chat, running around, finding the ghosts, all that stuff. Come Thursday, when the convention's about to go live, the host company decides to push a security patch. I guess they found some sort of weird breach or whatnot. Push a security patch an hour before doors open.
Oof.
Right? So, come doors open at noon Eastern, there's no space. Servers aren't responding. People are going to the site to log in and don't even have a way of logging in or downloading the client for it. 4.5 hours late to doors open, they finally get it up and running and push the client out to everyone, only to find that none of the features are working. No voice proximity chat. Character customization is only on your screen. Like, no one else can see it. Everyone's showing up as anonymous. Like, it was just fraught with error after error after error. And all fine and good. GCX says, as a token of our appreciation and as a way of saying we're sorry, we're going to extend the hours of the convention from the planned closing time of 5 Eastern. We're going to push it out to midnight. Cool. If you're a participant.
Right.
If you're a booth owner that wants to staff your booth,
you suddenly have a 7-hour block you've got to fill?
Yeah. You now have to man that. And if you're on the East Coast on a Thursday, that's a little difficult to do. So that took a lot of us by surprise. And then to find out that things still weren't working, but we made the best of it.
Right. Well, and, to pull back, they still raised over $4 million for St. Jude.
Yes.
We were there representing Guardians MH, and they got a lot of publicity and activity in general, which was huge. And I think this was I give them a lot of credit for taking the risk of putting this experiment out there, because this very likely could be the future of what expos are. I think there's still a in-person type necessity, but being able to have a virtual event that gives that kind of freedom is huge.
Yeah, especially, you get something... Travel right now still isn't fully back to 100%. There's still restrictions coming in across borders and coming in from other countries. Doing it in a virtual space eliminates that need. Lodging. You don't have to book hotel rooms to log into a convention from your computer at home.
Right.
Right. So the proof of concept and just the thought put behind it was amazing, and I give them 100% kudos for putting this together in the way that they did, and the shortcomings of it weren't even really, it had nothing to do with GCX, Rare Drop, any of them. This was a failing of the host company,
the provider,
more than anything else. But it did show that it's a viable option. I mean, can you imagine something like an E3 being done this way? Because like the way the booths work, you walked into one and there's a virtual TV screen on the back, and I sat in the G4 booth for an hour just watching all of the content cycle through. It was like, this is pretty darn amazing,
right? And it's an easy lift to have a virtual, version of a physical event. It has to be designed, it has to be plan checked and everything. You're doing 3D renderings of these booths in many cases anyway. So you have some of the basic assets to go from it. Is it cheap? No. Is it something we're going to see tomorrow mainstream all the time? No. But it's a good first step.
The biggest issue that they're going to have, one, is moderation of the space. That was another kind of failing on the part of the host company. There was no moderation.
Yeah.
And capacity, right? A smaller convention, like say for your company, if they want to get the entire company together into a space that's 20, 30 people max, if you invite guests, maybe up to 50. We were looking at the potential with GCX of being thousands of concurrent logins to a space. You get something like an E3, thousands of concurrent logins to a space, and that takes an incredible amount of resources, bandwidth, server capacity, right?
Yep.
So, but again, as a proof of concept, amazing, right?
It was an experiment that I give them props for being willing to try in the first place, of trying to put something out there instead of just twiddling their thumbs and hoping the pandemic magically went away.
Right. Because, I think with the way everything worked out nationally, like most restrictions were lifted on June 15th.
Right.
Right. So they could have potentially done the on-site, in-person, albeit with some maybe masking restrictions, social distancing restrictions. They could have done it. But again, nobody knew June 15th was going to be that day.
Until long after the, drop dead to put something like that together was established, or would have had to have been established. So, But no, overall, I give mad props and lots of kudos to everyone that was involved with it.
Very much so.
And while there are plenty of people that complained about it, I will quote your oldest daughter by saying, they are dumbasses. Yes, the 4-year-old is using that term quite often.
Oh, don't call me a dumbass. Yeah.
So, what else we got? Well, why don't we talk a little bit about this rebranding we're going through?
So as you can tell, or you can't because there's only a couple of people on the site, but you'll see this up on YouTube and on the website later. We're trying to unify everything under the Debuffed Dad brand. We did a lot of soul searching and what would you call that? Cloud collaboration.
Well, it wasn't even like soul searching. We knew we wanted to get this out there and be a larger effort, and we've talked about that for a couple episodes at this point, as well as people that have talked to us in general.
Yeah, and we really didn't know what that was going to look like. So part of the time off that we've had was sitting down with people with much more experience in the space than we do, and bouncing ideas off of them and trying to get this done right. Right. We're going to be pushing a complete overhaul of the website here.
Of the website, of all of our branding. We're making the WHISKIEE Podcast is just a component of what we're trying to do with Debuffed Dad overall, which is, create an environment of helping people, specifically in our case, dads,
right,
deal with what it means to be adults and parents because there really aren't a whole lot of resources out there that are
was one of the core tenets when we first started doing this was
Right.
you can go through and look right now, go to your podcast engine, not now if you're listening, but if you search parenting podcasts, it's a bunch of moms.
Yep.
And it's very focused towards motherhood, and again, this is just, we've lived in a society where that's the social norm and long live the patriarchy.
And the patriarchy, what they tell dads is, be the breadwinner.
Yep.
And a lot of masculine toxicity. You got to do this or else, or you're a horrible father, and
right.
You're participating in raising your kids.
Yeah, your involvement in raising is discipline.
Yeah.
Like that was how I was raised. That was probably likely how you were raised, and most of our audience, that was very likely how they were raised, where dad was a disciplinarian and mom was the nurturing provider.
Just wait till your dad gets home.
Right.
Even though he left long ago to get cigarettes and milk. He'll be back one of these days, right?
Yeah. So that was I guess the push for us to get on mic and get on camera and have these candid conversations with our audience, and that's the purpose of the Whiskey Podcast, is to actually put a voice, put a voice behind those thoughts.
That, and this is a lot of our therapy, just being able to tell our stories.
This is a lot of
our
therapy.
Yeah, well, this is the reason the kids give us for drinking.
And by this, again, it's as they say in our community of podcasts, a visual bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we drink our feelings. Yeah.
And we don't really. Like, again, that's because this was something that was brought up. We talk mental health, we talk a lot of these things, and we joke about the alcohol component of it, but that's a shtick for us. It's not a necessity.
But again, it's born out of that stereotype that, dad gets home, disciplines the kids, then sits down, pours himself a beer, and drinks into oblivion so that he can...
While smoking that cigar over there?
While washing away the, what is it? The guilt of not being a good parent? I don't know. So...
I think there's a lot that goes into it. But long story short, we want to create a better experience for this. So how do we do that? So we started by reaching out to Twitch Dad himself, the T-Monster, a.k.a. T. Morris, who literally wrote the book on podcasting and Discord
for dummies,
and Twitch
for Dummies, Discord for Dummies.
Which is our level. When it comes to, the book title, For Dummies is appropriate to us.
Right. The only reason you see the setup that we have here is through a lot of collaboration and a lot of asking the right people the wrong questions.
Yeah. And Nate obsessing. Nate obsessing is a good one. But no, so we reached out to T to get his feedback, and honestly, he just kind of blew our minds with some of the conversations. And he's like, "Look, don't try and do all of these things independently. You'll never be able to keep up, and you're shooting the effort in the foot by keeping them separate. It's all one thing." It's just, how do you reach the audiences? How do we reach you guys in such a way that it's meaningful and helpful to you?
Right. And prior to this episode, all of our other Twitch casts were done on your personal channel.
Mm-hmm. So with this, for those of you that are not watching live, we have started the Debuffed Dad Twitch page. We have started the Debuffed Dad Twitter page. Right. And... we've had Facebook. We've actually started to post to there. We actually did an announcement in our Discord channel.
Right. And the purpose behind that was Chew-Dada himself is an individual. Nate Fu, I am an individual. I have my own stuff that I do. He has his own stuff that he does. And then we have this unified thing that we both... This is our love and our passion project. But we can both collaborate externally into this bucket. Mm-hmm. Right. And if we somewhere down the road grow to a point where we have more collaborators to this, again, we can drop them into the umbrella of...
Yeah, it's not about us. It's about, how can we help each other and create that community?
Correct.
And so this is giving us a nice framework to do that. Who knows? There may be more podcasts out there. There may be other avenues. There may be more media. We have a lot of people that we're reaching out to for collaborations, and we want to continue that.
Mm-hmm. And we have a very small but growing audience that every time we get feedback, we take it to heart and we try to implemented in, and that's, our buddy Burning Wing has been very, very helpful in giving us tips, pointers from a audience perspective, from a consumer's perspective.
We've had good communities. Like we are a part of and adjacent to a lot of different communities.
Yes.
We are both staff members with Guardians Mental Health. I posted and talked a couple times about Richie Bob and Ladybugger and that art community that's going on there. We have Danfinity and Dizzy DLO and a number of others that we've met through the Destiny.
Right. And then we have our
community.
Our other community podcasts that I've done collaborations with Guardian Down, that I've done one. And then my other side project that I do with our buddy Tim with the Fork in Your Ear. So we've got a lot of voices going out there. But again, we didn't really have an appropriate home to bring it all back down to. So, and speaking of Dizzy, we are going to be meeting with him this evening and talk about getting the look of this channel and
this brand
all kind of wrapped up
but
together.
Forget that. We are meeting a community member in real life after the pandemic because science.
Yes. And that, I can't overstate this enough. Being able to go out and grab a drink with my wife recently, and we just met up with a friend of hers from high school, actually junior high school is in town, and just go and sit and relax and socialize, not in a backyard setting or not in some confined setting, has been weird,
right? But
also comforting that, there's some semblance of normalcy returning to the world. But still scary at the same time.
Oh, it's terrifying because, if nothing else, it kind of showed us the shortcomings in everything that we took for granted very often.
Right. But to, on the same coin, we're not out of the woods on this yet. We now have the, another brand that's getting absolutely tanked by this pandemic. Corona took a big hit. And now Delta Airlines is now looking at this going, really? You had to name it the Delta variant?
Yeah.
Especially with all the issues with air travel, sitting in a giant tube, recirculating air with, 80 or so people in it with no means of knowing if someone is...
Meanwhile, air travel has picked up significantly.
Yes.
I still don't want to go anywhere near LAX if I can avoid it. And that is a very pissed off baby.
Yes. Someone didn't get their entire nap.
Yeah. It's their own damn fault. We did everything we could to tire her out this morning.
But yeah, so, we have this Delta variant going around. So there's this weird, I don't know, hesitancy I still have about even this meeting tonight. We're going out and going to be in a public space with people. Right? And there's going to be probably a lack of masks on
most people.
Most people, if not all people. And it's based sheerly on trusting the common decency of humanity.
I trust science. I don't think I trust humanity.
Right? And I look at the numbers. You look at the numbers all around, and out of 10 people in the room that we're going to see tonight, 6 of them are probably vaccinated. 4 of them probably aren't. And while you and I are both vaccinated, it does not mean that we're immune from contracting.
Our kids are not vaccinated.
Our kids can't be vaccinated. And so that's still something that I still scares the shit out of me.
You and me both.
So, we had been talking about this meeting, possibly even just having it here, and you would express that concern. You're like, I'm still not 100% comfortable with having unknown people. As much as we know Dizzy.
Right.
Well,
it's
but we
don't
not
even
know
our direct people. It's know, the people that our people come in contact with that is the concern. Also, my laptop has apparently decided to stop charging, so I'm in battery saver mode.
Interesting. I hope that's not going to be an issue.
Well, I might just suddenly stop talking.
Is that how we do it?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like we're getting together tonight and working on hopefully working on a branding package.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's to solidify and unify.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, meet Dizzy. We have known him for going on close to 2 years.
Yep.
He recently moved to LA.
He lives like 10 minutes from our.
Yeah, and we found that out because by subbing to his channel, he's one of his things is if you sub to my channel or gift bits or gift subs, I send you stickers. It's a low
Mm-hmm.
a low effort. I wouldn't say low effort. It's one of those little things that you can do for your community to you see it out in the wild, and you got your hydro flask, and it's got a picture of Dizzy's butt on it, and it's cute if you don't know, but if you do know, you can have a wink and a nod with that person across that goes right. So, but he's been
that bot makes its way around the internet.
Yeah, he's been a good dude. And then, like you said, the other weekend I went and saw Grumpy. Grumpy is another community member that I met in person back at TwitchCon 2019 through our mutual cross-pollination of communities.
All right.
And became a very fast friend.
That's also when you managed to meet T in the first place.
Yeah, that was what that whole relationship with T was born out of TwitchCon 2019 and me getting very much outside my comfort zone and wandering the streets of San Diego after convention doors closed, and met them at a barbecue, just walking down the street, and saw them sitting in a barbecue joint, and they saw me and they were like, "Hey, come sit down, have a beer with us." And then the next thing you know, we're back in
next thing you know,
my hotel's no, we're back at the hotel, my hotel's bar, until probably 3 a.m, just talking music and like everything. It was amazing, and I can't be more thankful for the opportunity to have met them then, and to still have a relationship with these people now, because again, T has been very crucial in the moves that we're making. Grumpy has been very crucial in my own personal sanity as another fellow dad of a certain generation.
Also, Grumpy, we're putting it out there. If you want to keep him, he didn't really want to come back.
You're not wrong. Other than where he lives, you think it's warm now? Ugh, it was absolutely brutal down there.
Yeah.
And I say this and we chuckle, because right now we're sitting at probably a nice moderate 91 currently.
Microsoft is saying 93.
93, right? And we just had our friends up in the Pacific Northwest hit 110, 107. Our cohorts back with GMH, most of them are on the eastern seaboard, and it's 96 for them right now.
Yeah, and there's a hurricane heading their way, and we're entering fire season.
We got Hurricane Elsa, and I just can't help but want to tell people to let it go. It's
when that north wind hits it over the sea.
And then I guess current events. We recently had that horrible tragedy with that beachfront hotel in.
Dude, I've got so many. Like it wasn't a hotel; it's a condo.
Condo.
And I've got so many people that are make me one circle removed from people that are involved in that. So I know exactly where that is. I know exactly what building it was. That's where I grew up. And it's intense. And I mean, it kind of just shows how bad the situation is across the board.
Right.
You know, they didn't maintain it, you know, not for lack of trying or money. You know, it was trying to keep up with an entire area that was sinking to begin with.
Right.
And, you know, you see videos out there across the board of power lines melting.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Texas and their wind farms freezing.
Right. It was funny. It was yesterday on one of the TikTok feeds that you came across, you know, my For You page, and it was someone in Canada who's like, "It is currently 102 where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, we're sorry we gave you our weather. Can you please take yours back?"
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, climate change isn't a thing.
Not at all. Meanwhile, look at the fact that, you know, yeah, it's summer, but we were 10 days into summer and got record high heats already.
Right.
So I can only imagine how the rest of this is going.
Oh.
You know? But right now, as we're talking, I'm looking in on my little girl who just woke up from her nap.
Mm-hmm.
And she's, you know, started swim lessons. She's doing all these things and doesn't know how bad this is compared to where things were when we were growing up.
Right.
And, you know, she's just experiencing everything open-eyed. And kind of miss that.
Yes. To see the world through a child's eyes is fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Well, it makes you, again, start questioning what's actually important and relevant.
Right.
Which goes back to some of our premise, you know, in the first place, is, you know, what do you actually want out of life? What are your goals? What are your objectives?
Mm-hmm.
And what is it that you want, not what someone tells you want? So, and right now, apparently, I want watermelon.
But yeah, there's so much effort that is made that tends to go unnoticed and unacknowledged, especially from the father side of the equation.
Yep.
Right? You know, and again, we're bound by some weird patriarchal law that says we have to go and, you know, stick our nose in the ground and grind away. And we're not allowed to have fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're not allowed to have fun. There's only one way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if your priorities aren't these, you're sabotaging yourselves and your family, and, you know, all of those fun and exciting things that we're realizing just aren't true.
No, not at all. Not even close. Like, not even close. Like, again, being shuttered in for a year has really opened my eyes to a lot of things that I took for granted. Going out every day. Right. And I wasn't shuttered in as much as you were. You know, like.
Yeah, but I'm an introvert. I kind of liked it. I'm not going to lie.
But yeah, I mean.
You're like, oh, I got to meet someone tonight? Crap.
Right. But to be able to commute to work 30 feet.
Yeah.
You know, take your lunch and spend it with your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then go back to work and go, oh, okay, I'm done with this hour meeting. Spend another 10 minutes with my daughter.
Dude, not having to lose 3 hours a day in the car.
Right.
Is huge.
And that's 3 hours that I don't get to see my children.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh, like.
I don't get to see my children. I don't get to work on projects that are meaningful to me. I don't get to recover and build something that, you know, makes me feel, you know, like I've got value outside of a job.
Right. And I remember when this all first started, there was a little bit of jealousy on the part of people that were stuck home that I was allowed to, you know, go out. I didn't, you know, part of the benefit of being home and seeing your daughters grow up was the downside of watching every single meltdown, having to work around, you know, hey, I got to have a meeting right now, and my toddler doesn't give a shit about
oh yeah,
the sales meeting.
I had a meeting, a week and a half ago, and your oldest and my daughter ended up on my lap for the entire meeting.
Right.
And your oldest telling my boss off was quite interesting.
And had this not been, had we not had this pandemic, that would have been 100% wholly unacceptable.
Yep. Well, we go back to a year ago where, your wife was teaching, and a parent's complained because her kids would come into the room. And he's like, I'm sorry, what?
Her kids are cats.
Not actually cats, but, because you have those also.
No,
they come into the room often.
But no, we had legitimately had parents email the principal of the school, my kids aren't learning because your teacher has her pets on the screen while she's teaching. My kids aren't learning because your teacher has her children in the room. Excuse me, Karen?
Right.
What did you want us to do with them? What are you doing with your children?
Yeah, also,
right?
I'm happy to see that it's convenient for you to not have anything to do but to sit in on your kids' school session.
Right.
But not everyone is so lucky.
Or the converse was, oh, hey, this kid is in, but their camera's been off the entire time. And when I email the parent, sorry, not I, but when my wife emails the parent and says, I don't know if your child was present at today's class. And that parent replies, well, I'm busy, so you need to keep them more engaged. No. There's only so much we can do from this side of the screen.
Yep.
Right. I can't force you to stay. I can't force you to stay in this channel if you've happened to pop in here. Right. I can't do it. All I can do is try to make this as engaging as possible that you want to stay, or have your parent, guardian, child, whatever, any of the husbands out there, have your wives put this on and force you to listen to it. Right.
But if you could, and also subscribe and leave a review, we'd appreciate it.
Lurks are appreciated. Ow, that's hot. Dropped right on my knee.
Well, with that bombshell, and the fact that my battery is rapidly disappearing because my computer decides just not charge anymore, I think now might be a good time to start wrapping up.
Hey, we're only 50 minutes into this. It's about norm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look
for more content overall. Look for more of us. If you have ideas, thoughts, opinions, concerns, reach out to us. You all know our socials. You now know where to find us or exclusively. And we're revamping Discord also, so you should have time and space and accessibility there.
Yeah, links for that are on our website.
They're on the website. They're now in this Twitch channel.
And same thing on the Twitch channel. Twitch channel and our Twitter at also Debuffed Dad.
Yep.
So
we're Debuffed Dad everywhere that you can find Debuffed Dad. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chew-Dada.
I am Nate Fu.
And this was episode 26. Peace out.